Yeah, they want to keep them spaced out. Oh, no, I'm not talking me. Really? I love it. He just called. I figured they knew who I am. I haven't given them a clue. I don't know like that. You remember that? No, I'm just looking for the up guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I'm also going to try to change the narrative. Enough with the black and all. I need to do that.
Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon we are here to do the official opening and handing over of a field hospital for the Maypen Hospital. Let us stand as the national anthem of Jamaica is played, followed by the national anthem of the United States of America.
Recording in progress.
Okay, you may be seated. I now invite Mr. Rainford Savon, customer care representative, to open with prayer.
We invite you all to stand, please. Sovereign God, we thank you for today. We thank you for families. We thank you for friends. But Lord, more than all, we thank you for life. And so we gather today in this space. Lord, we just invite your presence to saturate the entire space we know of. We ask that everything be done in decency and in order. And so we thank you for today of this opening of this field hospital. We leave everything in your hand. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Let me welcome you all to this function, and just to state that in keeping with our Disaster Risk Management Act, we have kept the number of persons in face-to-face to its limit, and we are also streaming our persons participating virtually via the Zoom platform, as also persons watching it on Facebook. Now let me introduce to you some very important persons who are here. All of us are very important, by the way, mere fact that we have been invited and we are here. But let me just start at the head table. To my immediate right, Dr. Honorable Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness. And at the head table also is Mr. John McIntyre. He is in charge of affairs of the United States Embassy in Jamaica. Also with us, the Custos Rotulorium, Honorable William Billy Shagori. We have Mr. Mooney, Managing Director of Jamalco. Dr. Baru Dele, Acting Deputy Chief of Mission, and also the head of the CDC in Jamaica. We have one Technical Director, Dr. Mitchellus Holder. Other members of the Jamalco team, other members of the United States government team. We have members from the JDF, and of course we have members from the media. We have staff members from the Maypen Hospital and other facilities. Just talking about those who are present with us physically, and joining us on the virtual platform, we have our own board chairman, Mr. Wayne Chen. We have other members of the Board of Management of the Southern Regional Health Authority. We have other invited guests from various companies. We have members of staff from the Southern Regional Health Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. We have come a long way in a short time with this project. As we all know, the pandemic has it in its third surge, and as such we have been charged to increase our infrastructure. Now the United States government, through its charge of affairs and the team out here, they came to our assistance. But we also have members of the local private sector in in Clarendon, and other civic groups in Clarendon. So this project, it is a multiple stakeholders came in to make this a success. So we have Jamalco, they assisted us, some of the construction. Shagori, not to it just as Custos, but also to its business entity. We also have Mr. Baron Stewart, not just in his capacity as the chairman of the Hospital Management Committee, but also through his his business, Stewart's Hardware. We have many other businesses that come and came on board and helped us. And I'm sure that when Mrs. James comes to give the vote of thanks, Mrs. James is our acting CEO, when she comes to give the vote of thanks, she'll be telling us some of the stakeholders would have joined in making this a success. So I'm really proud of this, that it is a multiple approach. Shows that persons in Clarendon, they have warmed to the extent to come to the state and say, let us all do our business, go our business. So let us do that. Without further ado, I'm going to be inviting Mr. Wayne Chen, our board chairman, to bring greetings. He'll be bringing it virtually, so just this can be on the television speaker. Chairman.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. My long-standing and good friend, Minister of Health, Mr. Tufton, charged of here of the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica, Mr. McIntyre, Custos, long-standing friend, Billy Shaburi, Board Chair, Baron Stewart, Mrs. James, the burden rests heavy on your head, on your shoulders, other distinguished guests and friends. For my American friends, I would say that looking at the Stars and Stripes this morning takes me back many, many years, over 60 years, to my childhood and going to infant school. And perhaps my good friend Billy Shaburi is the only one among us that might have that similar memory. That back in the day, and this is the early 1960s, my first exposure to that flag, the American flag, was the Nutritional Support Program that we youngsters in infant school in Jamaica would have benefited from, because we would have seen those flags on the tins of milk powder and the bags of bulgur. And we would line up every day and get that little cup of milk. We all had our little cups, and we line up and get milk, because the American assistance at the time was multifaceted, but one of the programs was to see that the children of Jamaica at least got one square one every day. So we fast forward now almost 60 years, and here we are again in partnership, fighting a pandemic and getting much needed assistance here in Mayfair. So it's a good day for us. It's a good reminder of the strong bond and relationship we have always had with the United States of America, its government and its people. And I say on behalf of the Southern Regional Health Authority this morning, thank you once again. I also want to say thanks, Mrs. James. I don't know if Dr. Edwards is here, I can't see him this morning, but the staff of the Mayfair Hospital, the wider group of healthcare workers in the parish of Clarendon and in the region and in Jamaica. If you hear me sounding a little emotional this morning, Minister, I think it's just the daily unburdening that comes to me. We are in a stressful time. As I say to Mr. Ben, my colleague, over and over, we are stretched, but we are not broken. And we're not going to break, because I know the combination of dedication, hard work, and insightful policy and timely implementation of the measures that we need, we will survive, and we will build back better once we get past this current trial. So I say thank you again. It's an honor to be here this morning, and I look forward to the additional capacity that this team hospital represents. In closing, I just want to say thanks to the private sector, the business community in Clarendon, led again by our good customers, and Mr. Stewart and many others. Jamalco has always been a good friend. I don't want to start listing and naming names because I get into trouble. I want to thank the Jamaica Defence Force. We have been good partners in this struggle. My mind goes back immediately to the first. Mr. Ben, you remember when we had to close lock down the community just south of here? And Minister, it was done, I think you gave us the call after 10 in the morning, and by 5 o'clock we had an entire community quarantine. One day I hope, Minister, you'll write a book on the pandemic response, because there is much learning and many adventures in there and many untold stories. So I thank you again for being here this morning. I thank to all who made this field hospital possible, and this moment will live for a long time in our hearts and minds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And we continue as a staff to stretch that will not people. I now invite Honorable Custos William Billy Shagori to the podium to give his greetings. Custos.
Thank you, Mr. Ben. Honorable Minister, the McIntyre, Charge of the U.S. Embassy. Welcome to the parish, sir. Hope to see you more. Want to welcome, I just recognize our board chairman, Mr. Bento, and our board chairman. I don't know if Byron is on here. I've heard from him that every time I call Byron, he knows that I'm there to beg him something, so he doesn't take my call. Mr. Moody from Jamalco. All distinguished guests here today. We are all distinguished. That's the mayor back there, right? But let me just say that it is a pleasure. And why it is such a pleasure? When our acting CEO here, James, made a call, I have never seen people responding so quickly. The JDS was on board, and I want to thank them too very much. But they responded quickly. Jamalco gave a sizable donation to build the bathroom. And I want to thank you. I know you're having a problem as well. I didn't realize it was the US government that donated the tent. But I knew that our JDF did something with the charting of the thing and putting of the tents. So I want to thank them very much. You know, let me tell you, it's simple. We are going through a serious pandemic. Very, very bad. And people are under lockdown still. And people are feeling the financial pinch, economically. So when you send out a call, and Ms. James was like ticking our back, every day she would call them. And we sent out a message to the people of the parish. And I would imagine that, if I'm not mistaken, most of what was done here was done by people of the parish. So I want to thank all the people. Ms. James will let you know who gave, and you know, that's not my turn. But I want to thank the persons who really and truly made the final part of it happen. Thank you very, very much. And I want to thank the US government because they have always been here when we needed them. So we need to thank them very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I won't keep you much longer, Mr. Ben. And see, for the first time, you almost started on time. Not a tough time. You're here, so we really a lot. We are everything right now. By the way, I took my COVID test yesterday. I was negative. I didn't want to come around. But every week now I'll have a COVID test. God bless you and thank you so much for coming to the parish of Clarendon, my parish.
Thank you very much, Custos. To deliver the Custos is part, is not only just the Custos for the parish, but he's also part of the staff in the health services in Clarendon, both Maypen, the Clarendon Health Department, and Lionel Town. Minister, I will chronicle some of the things that he's doing in these facilities. Just want to recognize and welcome His Worship the Mayor, Winston Barrage, and also Councillor Joel Williams, a man who has always been at the site here as well, from start to where it is now, to finish, and he will not leave it, I hope. And so I now invite Councillor Joel Williams to bring greetings on behalf of the Member of Parliament, Mr. Mike Henry. Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Costas Rotoloyo, Uncle Billy, Honorable Minister Christopher Tufton, Chartered Affair from the US Embassy, Mr. John McIntyre, other distinguished stakeholders gathered here this afternoon to witness the opening of this field hospital to service the people of Clarendon and possibly beyond. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Member of Parliament, the Honourable Michael Lester Henry, to welcome you here this afternoon. I want to welcome you against the background that we're in trying times. The Minister, the government, the world is under tremendous pressure because of this pandemic. And I want to say on his behalf, thanks to all the stakeholders who have made it possible that we can be gathered here this afternoon to open this field hospital to admit persons who have fallen victim of this pandemic or have become victim of this pandemic. It is indeed a pleasure to see the rallying call from the people of Maypen and its environment, the business community, the various stakeholders, Jamalco, how quickly you acted in order for this to be possible today. Minister, it was a lot of work. And this was also led by our Costas, who is always leading from the front, Member of Parliament. But Mr. Minister, it would be remiss of me if I did not take the time out, a few minutes, to ask Mrs. James, acting CEO, to take a bow. She has done a fantastic job in a short time against the odds. And so, because of her hard work, and the fact that she has the ability to pull a team together, we're here witnessing what we're seeing. On behalf again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf again of the Member of Parliament, I want to say thank you for everything that you have done to make this today possible. Thanks to the US government, thanks to Jamalco and all the stakeholders. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Williams. And yes, it has been a very tough one. I could recall when we had the rains, the weekend of the rains, and persons were here because when you look at this structure, infrastructure, we took the decision to put a base in it so that can withstand so in the future. Within a day or two, we can assemble something because we also took into consideration the water table here, the high level of water table. So the base is very good, solid, can take different structures, and in future we can use it for many, many things. So again, the team really, really rallied to the call. Now, the partnership between the Southern Regional Health Authority and the US government seems to be strengthened in particular. Just about last year, February or so, the then ambassador, and I think the charge of affairs and acting deputy charge of affairs, among others, were at one of our facilities in the southern region, that is of Christiana, and opening and handing over a laboratory for that facility. And that was answering a call that was much needed And that laboratory is making a big difference to the health services in Manchester at this time in the southern region. And now today, just about a year or so after, you are now in Maypen with another facility. And I'm hoping that less than a year now, you'll be another facilities in another place. But I just want to let us invite Mr. John McIntyre, Charge of Affairs of the U.S. Embassy, to bring remarks. Mr. McIntyre.
Okay. This is always the challenging part because I'm a little vertically challenged, so I may have to adjust the mic here so you guys can hear me. Perfect. Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Bent. Obviously, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Tufton, Dr. Bradley Edwards, Mr. Wayne Chen online, the Honorable William Shiguri, great speech by the way, love it. Mr. Joel Williams, Mr. Mayor in the back, I see you. Ms. Eugenia Clark James, other members and staff of the Ministry of Health, and members of the media, of course. And good afternoon. And let me just say a special thanks to the staff of the U.S. Embassy, especially our MLO team, who's all over the place. That's our military, as well as Dr. Dede, our head of CDC. You all have done a great job working with everybody here. I am proud to announce that the United States government, through Southcom, that's our military command, is able to donate a second, that's 2, field hospitals to Jamaica as part of its humanitarian assistance program. This newly donated hospital comes with generators and 40 beds to support Jamaica's ongoing response to COVID-19, and this is really important, efforts to prevent and control infectious diseases. By the way, I go completely off script a lot, so just be ready. This is an investment for now, and it's an investment for the future, and we're going to keep doing that. That's a commitment. And I got more commitments coming. This substantial donation, just wait, it's good. This substantial donation, valued at $850,000 US, will enhance the Jamaican government's ability to respond to the COVID pandemic. The humanitarian assistance program helps partner nations build their disaster readiness, response, and mitigation capabilities. The program funds infrastructure, equipment, and training to help nations prepare for crisis, but also supports countries who request assistance from the U.S. government for health and weather-related emergencies. So we're not just a one-stop shop, we just keep on going. Southcom's support to Jamaica's COVID-19 response and mitigation efforts began in late March 2020 as the first signs of COVID-19 infections were beginning to impact the Caribbean, and has continued to provide support throughout the nearly 20 months that our 2 countries have been fighting this pandemic. Key fact, to date, the U.S. government has donated over $12 million US in COVID-related assistance to Jamaica for ICU beds, medical equipment, improved communications, support to the Emergency Operations Center, and obviously to provide mobile field hospitals. I did want to quickly acknowledge something that I think is very important. So I'm talking a lot about us, the U.S. government, but this was pointed out earlier. There's also been a lot of cooperation from the government of Jamaica, and it's important, the private sector. We acknowledge that there's been a really good private sector effort to bring in mobile field hospitals, or field hospitals as well. So just want to point that out. It is a whole of government, a whole of society effort. It's been really, really impressive here in Jamaica. This figure, here's another fun figure. This figure includes the USAID's announcement, which we put out on Friday, that they will donate an additional $5.2 million of US dollars to advance vaccination and strengthen health systems to diagnose, manage, and mitigate COVID-19 transmissions. In addition, through the Centers of Disease Control, CDC, we continue to support the Minister's Ministry to test and identify COVID variants circulating in Jamaica. In addition, we are also helping with the procurement of a genome sequencing platform for Jamaica. So it's 2-part. We're doing it now, we're doing it for the future. Okay, so this is the part where I go completely off script. You want to watch me now when I talk about this. I'm going to talk about the vaccines. Here's the deal. I just said we made a commitment. President Biden made a commitment. When we said we were going to donate vaccines, we donated them. So you got the first shipment. The second shipment is coming. Full stop. It's going to be as much or more than the last shipment. So it's coming. It is a substantial donation. We have taken a regional approach to this. So the Biden administration wanted to do it for the Caribbean as a whole. However, there is an acknowledgement of the job and the situation that's going on currently in Jamaica. So Jamaica is a priority country. We have made it abundantly clear to Washington, I can see Dr. Dede nodding his head, that Jamaica is a priority. So you are a priority. This country will receive a second donation tranche and maybe more. So I just want to be very clear about this. I also want to change the narrative a little bit. It's not a setback. It is a success. The fact that all the vaccines were taken up is a success. That is a success for Jamaica, it's a success for the ministry, and most importantly, it's a success for the people of Jamaica. It is an incredible effort. You should be proud of it. It should be celebrated. There should not be any more bacchanal about what's going on. It's actually a real success story. I'd also like to point out, and then the minister pointed this out in his comments, and if you don't believe him, although you should, you can talk to Dr. Dede. There's no clinical reason to stress if there's a delay of a week or two in getting the second shot. It is still valid, it still works, it's still great that you got your first shot. So everything is on track.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to stop talking now, I'm going to go back onto my boring diplomatic speech and then I'll be done. But I want to make sure we're real clear on that. So, I'll just stop there before I go off on too much other talk. This donation underscores the enduring partnership, we've mentioned it before, mention it again, between the United States and Jamaica, and our long history of family ties, friendship, which was mentioned before by Mr. Chin, cooperation. It's all there. As a good neighbor, the United States, not just a good neighbor, a good friend, the United States will always be ready to respond to regional disasters, and we will do whatever we can to protect both U.S. and Jamaican citizens. I will get off the mic now. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Mr. McIntyre. Lot said in a short time, eh? Many things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to the podium Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness, to the main.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bent, and I remove my mask. And I'm vaccinated over so, Mr. Shagori. I consistently test just in case. So I'm not the main speaker because I came here to listen to the charge of affairs for more reasons than one, and he did not disappoint. So let me begin first by recognizing him and his delegation. So that's Mr. John McIntyre and his delegation from the U.S. Embassy, including Mr. Kite, who is Director Caribbean Regional Office Centers for Disease Control. I see also that there are members of the Military Liaison Office, U.S. Embassy, and Commander for the Support Brigade, JDF, who is here, and his team, and all other members representing the project management, both the sourcing and the coordination and installation of this very important facility that we're going to be looking at, which will be the main event. So I'll be quick. I want to recognize, of course, members of the Southern Regional Health Authority, Chairman Chen, Mr. Bent, the first citizen of the parish, Sir Shagori, right, sir? You're the first citizen, right? My good friend, and I really want to recognize him because he's like Mr. Clarendon. He's always at the front and center of anything that is good for the parish. So I want to say thanks to you, Billy. Of course, Joel Williams, Councillor, representing my colleague and friend Mike Henry, and representing himself in his own capacity. And did you say the mayor was here? Yeah. Where is he? I don't see him. Okay, Mayor. Hello, Mayor. You are here. So recognizing his worship, the mayor. The management of the hospital, everyone else, media, thank you very much. This is a good occasion. It's a good occasion, and it's one we have a little experience in. And Mr. McIntyre gave us the reasons why we have a little experience in it, because this is not the first field hospital that we're unveiling or officially opening. And it does show, as he said, the strength of the relationship. It does symbolize the collaboration that is necessary to confront and to overcome a global pandemic. We rise and fall together. That's why we have variant strains if there is inequity in terms of the opportunities to tackle this pandemic. And I think the U.S. in this respect and on this occasion is once again demonstrating the leadership that we expect of them as our most significant and powerful neighbor. to not just Jamaica, but to this region. So I really want to put on record our appreciation for this facility. As you know, we have a similar facility at the Spanish Town Hospital, and I know there will be other facilities that are coming. All told, we have field hospitals at St. Joseph's, 40 beds, Spanish Town, 40 beds. Here, this will be a 40-bed facility, and we are putting in additional facilities at the University Hospital of the West Indies, in Sablamar, Westmoreland at that hospital. Mandeville is also going to benefit from a similar facility, and did I say Falmouth? Falmouth is also a 40-bed facility. So we're looking at adding capacity in excess of 300, maybe more, 300, 350 beds. We give the standard numbers, but we do tweak it a bit so the numbers are not absolutely precise. And this is all in demonstration, tangibly, of our response to the treatment component of the COVID-19 virus. So those who are affected if you will, and who require the type of hospital care in order to restore them, to make them comfortable. The truth is, no public health system could have adequately planned for this pandemic. We don't plan sufficiently for these extreme cases. Indeed, it's not usually recommended, never recommended, to plan for these extreme cases. So we have to make provisions when these extreme cases, in this case a 1 in a 100-year experience, comes along. And the truth is, because of the challenges of the threat, and that it doesn't discriminate around borders or nationalities, we have to find a solution, an approach that is going to be collaborative and that adds capacity globally. And certainly in the case of countries like Jamaica, we depend on others to provide assistance, even as we try to help ourselves. And so none of our hospitals were fully equipped or equipped at all to deal with what is here. And the timing of the pandemic and its impact on us required us to evolve in terms of a plan and a strategy to add capacity as we went along, whether it's human capacity, infrastructure capacity, equipment capacity. And I think under the circumstances, in collaboration with our partners like the US government, we have done well. The team has done well. The collaboration is demonstrated. The friendship between countries, the importance of that collaboration has been demonstrated. And so even while we look internally to improve and are even self-critical around some of the things that needs to be done or have not been done, we should also give credit to a process that substantially has worked in the interest of our country and indeed the region and by extension the world. We will get over this, and that is an assurance I give to those who are listening on. COVID is a challenge, but COVID is not an insurmountable challenge, and today demonstrates the collaboration that will allow us to move the process forward. So these field hospitals may or will serve the purpose for which they are intended, but as was said earlier too, we expect that they will continue to serve additional purposes later on. And so, in a strange way, we have used COVID, which is a threat, as an opportunity for us to build out our infrastructure. And so, if there's one good thing that comes out of COVID, it is that after COVID, our health infrastructure is going to be more resilient. And it is for us to structure it in a way to tackle the non-COVID issues, the chronic illnesses that are lifestyle related, the community-based primary health care systems. And you are going to hear from us in public health in short order, because we have not just been responding to COVID, we have been using the COVID experience to plan more strategically as to how we can build resilience from a public health perspective going into the medium and longer term. And so it's not just a reaction, it is also strategic planning going forward. and we will unveil that plan in due course. Finally, I want to say a few words on vaccines, because as was said by Mr. McIntyre, this has been a current and topical issue. And the Pfizer vaccine in particular, that brand that is well known and influential in determining take-up. Firstly, I want to commend the efforts at demand for vaccines against COVID-19. That is primarily lodged within the US space around the Pfizer brand, because I must tell you, we have done our own internal polls around vaccine take-up and preference for brands. And it's obvious that the brand Pfizer generates greater interest than other brands. And, you know, it's worth noting, and I'm a marketing person, so I like to comment on these things. It's worth noting that it's an indication of efforts that have been placed behind the need for take-up, and also the efficacy, the strength of the brand and what it does in terms of addressing COVID. So we have to use that too. We have to leverage that. The challenge with it, of course, is that it finished quick because the demand is high, to use a parochial term. Finish quick, right? And so we have to work and strengthen that relationship to ensure that it is that the people want to try as best as possible to give them, because ultimately it serves the greater good. And this is not to take away from the other brands that are available, the Johnson & Johnson and the AstraZeneca. We're urging Jamaicans to take any brand they have at a point in time. But in terms of that second dose for Pfizer, we want to reassure you, as was said again by Mr. McIntyre, that you can wait for another 3 or so weeks. There is urgency behind getting your second dose or another shipment. The commitment is clear. It's coming, again, to play around with a term, literally from the horse's mouth. Is that right? Is that okay? I don't know if I say it like that. Okay. But commitment from the US government, based on what Mr. McIntyre says. And we will work together, as is demonstrated here in this partnership, to ensure that it lands in Jamaica in time for us to have, or those who need it to have their second dose. You know, we are challenged on several fronts, and it's not a perfect process. We have no playbook for this, and so we're going to have some of these issues occurring. And it's not an indication that we have failed, as was said earlier, because there is time. It's just an indication that we have to wait a little longer because of the setback. But I believe that it will work itself out, and Jamaicans will be better off for it, because the strength of the brand will ensure more take-up, and the collaboration and the friendship will ensure that the vaccines get here on time. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thanks again. We do recognize the challenges around the long lines at our vaccine sites. Again, it is an indication that persons want to take the vaccine, and that's a positive thing. So I want to commend the Jamaican people for their patience and for their willingness to act on the availability of vaccines. In the coming weeks, we're going to make it a lot easier. There are going to be fixed sites that are going to be established. That won't change. We're going to enhance the appointment system, so persons make an appointment to access those sites, and persons who don't make appointment may have to wait longer in another line or queue than persons who have made appointment. Because I take the point, the criticism that has been levied at us, that for someone to take the effort to make an appointment and then end up at a location having to wait as long as the person who just turns up and don't make an appointment is unfair to that person who obeyed the rules. And we can't practice this thing about not following the rules and then, you know, or following the rules and then you get shafted. You've heard that famous saying. So I think we're going to have to recalibrate. And for those who make the appointment, they will get preference Those who don't, you will still get through, but you have to wait longer. And we're going to distinguish those lines or queues appropriately. In addition to the fixed sites, we're going to be setting up more pop-ups and variable sites. So the community blitz will have variable sites, so they will come and they go as needed, and we'll promote those separately, as well as the mobile units and the private institutions which we have put out the RFQ for. In another week or so, a number of private hospitals, private healthcare facilities, community-based organizations, whether the church, who qualify based on a protocol that has been given, will be allowed to establish vaccine sites. So we create more outlets for Jamaicans to access the vaccine. So our commitment is that it will get better. Just give us some time to work that through in collaboration with all our partners. So thanks again for today. Thank you again for your generosity, the US government. Thank you to the team that have put this in place in record time. And thanks to those who will administer to the Jamaican people who have to use the facilities. Together we will work this out, and together we will overcome the COVID pandemic. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those reassuring words. COVID is a challenge, but it is not insurmountable. And I believe that all of us, if we play our part, will be able to get COVID behind us. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Eugenia Clark James took up the active position of the Chief Executive Officer of the hospital. It's about 3 or 4 months, 3 months ago. And shortly after taking up that appointment, this project was dropped in her lap. And she took it, and she mobilized, and she ran with it. And she has landed it safely. Night and day, early morning, sometimes I wonder if her husband won't suspect something, because you get some text early morning, Mr. Ben, this is the progress of the hospital, this is where we are, this is where the oxygen levels are, this is the number of patients we have, late evenings, etc. Pictures of the progress of the facility, this is the interaction with this, and so on. This is Eugenia Clark James, thanks very much, and we are coming to give a vote of thanks. We want the public to say thanks to you for taking on this project, our newbie, accepting it and landing it safely. So I now invite you to come and give the vote of thanks. After the vote of thanks, we will proceed to cut ribbon for the facility and tour it. Now, the hospital is ready for occupancy. It should be occupied shortly after we leave. So I ask members that when we go in there, let us leave the things, don't touch, because we really want to occupy shortly. Very, very shortly. You know? And also because of the, again, in keeping our protocol, we have to limit the number of persons, like media, other persons, to go inside the facility. So we'll do a tour. So Mrs. James, your time.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony. Good afternoon, everyone. I should say all protocols are observed.
So Ben, let's address the microphone here.
It is with great privilege and profound gratitude I stand to give a vote of thanks on this special opening ceremony of the Deployable Surge Facility, Field Hospital, Maypen. Today marks another important event for our noble institution, and it is indeed a blessing for Maypen Hospital, who is the recipient of such generous gift. To our guests, to our Honorable Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be present here with us today at this function. We thank you for addressing us and also to participate in receipt of this field hospital. You stated that COVID is a challenge and we should embrace it, embrace the collaboration with our partners in fighting against this virus. COVID-19 as is good because we anticipate improvements in our infrastructure, not only at Mayfair Hospital but throughout the entire island, and we also welcome that. We appreciate you giving your usual encouragement to the Jamaican people as it relates to the importance of taking our vaccine. And we continue also as health workers to encourage those in our community and in close proximity to us, because this is the main way of us combating this deadly virus. Today I stand here with a heart full of gratitude to the U.S. representatives for their dedication and generous donation to the Mayfair Hospital. Their presentation to us is one we accept readily without hesitation. As we battle the spread of COVID-19 virus, we continue to care for the patients who presented with symptoms and have to be admitted for care, and the numbers of positive cases are still coming in. This pandemic has hit an all-time high, and hence we need the resources necessary to provide the care for those who need to be cared for. Mayfair Hospital have received 9 tents, and if you look to my left, you will see those lovely tents over there. We received 432 by 20, 318 by 16, 124 by 20, and 120 by 20. We also received 40 beds on wheels, 4 wash and sinks, 8 AC units, and 2 generators. The mastermind in mobilizing this tangible gift, we appreciate. And I would like at this time to make mention of a representative from the U.S. Embassy who have been very instrumental in this project. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Ramsey, Senior Defense Official, Defense Attaché for the Military Liaison Office at the Embassy, which is the senior office in charge of the office. He is unavoidably absent today due to an official travel outside of Jamaica. We recognize your sincere contribution. Standing in is Mr. John McIntyre, Charge d'Affaires, and we also have Dr. Verol Dede, Director of CDC, Caribbean Regional Center for Disease Control and Prevention. We also have Mr. James Rochelle, Operations Manager for the Military Liaison Officer. In May 2021, when we were informed that Mayfair Hospital will be getting a field hospital, which is the second field hospital from donated, we are filled with joy because we know how it is battling with limited space in our facility. So we salute the U.S. representative. We thank you for your continued support. The things we do in life echo in eternity. Thanks for donating $12 million towards the COVID-19 response. Can we give them an applause? Thank you. We also thank you for your donation of vaccine to Jamaica. And I'm so happy to hear that you say Jamaica is one of the priority countries. Thank you. We applaud Mr. Joel Williams, Councillor for the Denby Division, who represented Minister Michael Henry, Member of Parliament for Central Clarendon, at today's proceedings. Thank you for your consistent support with the field hospital project. Whenever a request for assistance has been made, You always go the extra mile. And today, we thank you, sir. It is with heartfelt gratitude I speak this afternoon about a special individual whose kindness knows no bound. A heart that is kind, pure, and very unselfish. I speak of no other than William Shogori, Custos of Clarendon and Rotalorian. Custos, your benevolence to the health facility in Clarendon, especially Maypen Hospital, is unspeakable. Custos, you provide all the material, and I know you're looking over there, you're just anticipating to go to see what is there. You had provided all the material, shingles, crushed stone, and sand, towards the building of the base for the hospital, for the field hospital, and also the bathroom facilities that is in construction at present. You never refuse my call, but ever ready to extend that hand of kindness. Daddy Billy, it is one of our community stakeholders. Daddy Billy is one of our community stakeholders who is always there to see us through. And we thank you today. You have given so much. You know what I admire about Custos? AAJ is supposed to be having a function for him in honor of his service. And he made a request to the Airport Authority of Jamaica. He requests that the money that you're going to use to put on this function for me, please give Maypen Hospital 2 defibrillator machines. This man has a heart of gold and kindness, and we thank you, sir. We salute you. Somebody said when you go to give a vote of thanks, it must be short and spicy. But today I have to recognize all my stakeholders, so I ask you to bear along with me. There is a very special person who joined us by a virtual platform, very calm demeanor, who spoke so eloquently, and that person is no other than our board chairman, Mr. Wayne Chen, who has given greetings. Your passion to serve is one with expression, and we thank you, Mr. Chen. A special thanks also to Mr. Samuel, who offered prayer. We thank you, sir. Our Master of Ceremonies and our Regional Director, Mr. Michael Dent. We thank you for leading such wonderful events. And indeed, we are all here, and you did well, sir. I would like to also extend gratitude to the Jamaica Defense Force. We have Colonel Ron Johnson, Colonel General Staff, Colonel Markland Lloyd Brigade, Commander of Support Brigade, Jamaica Defense Force, who stand here today with us. You have been here from the inception of this field hospital. Your team has done such a wonderful job. And I want to recognize Sergeant Haron Aikman, who came, and they are here with us over 1 week and mobilizing getting this facility up and running. You have done a good job, and we really appreciate it. Today we want to acknowledge you and tell you thanks openly. We just want to say thanks again to Mr. Austin Mooney, General Manager of Jamalco, who was delighted to extend to Maypen Hospital again a generous donation in the tune of $3.2 million to go towards purchasing of material for the bathroom facilities. You have expressed your kindness always to our institution, and we applaud you this afternoon for your desire to serve. You have a great corporate service manager, Ms. Donna Marie Brooks. She knows our portfolio very well. She knows where to mobilize the funds, and we thank you. We want to thank, and I'm talking about our stakeholders now, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank Mr. Baron Stewart, Chairman, Management Committee of the Maypen Hospital, and his team headed by Mr. Carl Simmet, his engineer, who was here from inception to carry out the supervision of the operation. We thank you, sir. You have mobilized your equipment to come on site and to do all the necessary work that are needed. And you have been there even through the shutdown, no movement day. We have to make sure that we prepare letters so that your staff will come out and we have the work going day and night. We thank you. We want to thank Cousins Construction, who was very instrumental in transporting all the material, and that was a donation to Mapen Hospital from the mine to Mapen Hospital grounds and also to Stewart's Hardware. We want to thank other supporters, Supply Wholesale, and this one really touched me. There was a day when the flatbed came with all a portion of containers to be offloaded. And when we called for the forklift from Mr. Stewart's Hardware, which comes to help us to come over, we were told that the forklift breakdown is not working. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? The flatbed is there, need to get back to Kingston. And I started to call on my phone. I just keep calling. I call Costa, I call Costas, and somebody directed me to call Junior Wilson. That's the person in charge of Stoplight Wholesale. And when I called him, and I expressed to him the need, maybe I was even crying, because we need to get these stuff off. He said to me, don't worry, I am going to rent a forklift for you, and I'm going to send it down on the record, and I'm going to stand the cost. Who could it be? The Lord is working with us. And I just want to say publicly, thank you, Mr. Wilson. Little is much when God is in it. We have other stakeholders on board like Witter and Son, Phillips and Son Funeral Home. We have BH Paint, who will be taking charge when the bathroom is finished to deal with all the painting work, and we thank you in advance, Mr. Myers. We want to thank Dr. Heyman, who has contributed to us. Thank Mr. Wayne Chen, Justice of the Peace. Last but not least today, I want to recognize our internal stakeholders, that is our staff here at Mapen Hospital. I want to thank the staff who have worked so hard with this project. I want to say a special thank you to the Operations Department, Maintenance Department, headed by Mr. Carlton Grant, our Maintenance Manager. Mr. Carlton Grant, now go home. I don't think he'll go home. He's here day and night. When I called him 6 o'clock, he said, Mrs. James, me on the site. We're mobilizing things, so don't worry yourself. And I want to thank you publicly, Mr. Grant. I think you need to, you deserve a vacation leave. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Last but not least, I want to give God thanks. God has been our tower of strength through.
I don't know if you go pick up. Remember, taller than a cannon for me, alright? How about the minister? Come on, try me. It'll be fun. Come in. Mark, you want to get in? You all right? Come on. Come on, please. Okay. Good? We're all set now? Alright. Okay. After 3, 2, 3. Alright. How do you get in?
Alright, so Assistant and Deputy Metro and this is James Cody. Just come to the front. Hold on, please. Hold on.
Minister, could you allow the media?
Allow the media to go. Right?
So we can take you coming in. Thank you so much.
I know.
Oh, wow, wow. Remember?
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we have 12 beds. We have 12 beds on this side.
Okay.
And we have just 4 beds to the
So we have.
And as you see, we also have liquid oxygen, pipes for oxygen. But we need it as a sex of positive figures.
Okay. But you have everything covered.
Yeah.
So I will, so this entire area is for our suspected. I would like to take you here and then we go back that side. Okay, this section,
Allow the media to go first.
we are entering into the staff area.
No one ended up in the hospital. I didn't know there was somebody. Media was here.
This is James.
Station next
So if we just come over here.
we're going to have come around.
You can't stand there.
We're going to ask them to come.
Here, we have 8 beds in this area.
Alright, Mr. Eugene, Minister, could you come over by this side where we have the wash station and where the beds are?
Look at the wash station. Does it work?
The plumbers are here.
We're going to get shortly.
Oh, it's gonna be connected.
Alright. And that's it. That's it.
Yes, it's there.
Right
back area.
Thanks for tuning on.
Here. Yes.
No, I can't get time to shop in the dog.
Alright guys, I think you've seen it, right? Yeah, anything else?
Okay. Well, when nurses on the front line, we have to make a way through them.
Alright guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.